Thanks for speaking to me, David. What does IPM mean to you and your growers? And what's led you to go through this transition?
I guess, me personally, I've had some very good experiences with IPM in terms of financial and agronomic experiences. Lots of clients have had good experiences over the years with regard to Brutella or diamondback moth control, slug control, or at least slug reduction, and lucent flea, earth mite. All had successful outcomes, and I guess we tend to think of it now as a normal business because we've been at it or employing it in our services for 8 years or thereabouts, and our client base is very accepting of it, so it's just our normal business these days. We don't think of it as anything special or unusual.
What actually made the transition from a more conventional approach?
I guess when I think back, it was times when a conventional approach using conventional insecticides simply didn't work or didn't do a very good job, and there were not many I guess conventional insecticide options that we could employ. So we looked for alternatives, and we were very fortunate to make the association with Paul Horn early on, Dr Paul Horn and Jessica Page of IPM Technologies, and we had some great experiences early, so we came to the conclusion pretty quickly that it was some of the IPM stuff worked better than conventional insecticides.
The majority of people find IPM, at least when they first think about it, complex, time-consuming and so on. How have you overcome those obstacles?
I guess, again, when I look back or reflect, it has been a bit time-consuming, it has been a bit complex, but that's like any new technology. I think that's a reasonable thing, and the more you put in, the more you get out. With regard to that, again, it's been the end result that's driven the interest. It hasn't been an interest that's driven the end result. So, where things haven't worked, conventional practices haven't worked, we've put a bit of time and effort into getting practices that do work, and that's the same with any technology, I think.
How much extra monitoring is required, and how do you work the monitoring out with your growers? Do they do a lot of monitoring, or do you do a lot of it?
Our business model is that we're independent agronomists. We inspect every paddock every fortnight during the growing season by four-wheel motorbike. So we're there anyhow. Ideally we see the pest problem developing before it becomes at a level where treatment is difficult. So it's no more activity for us. Now, if you're only looking at the crops once a month or thereabouts, then, or even less than that in some cases, then it will be extra monitoring.
How does IPM therefore sort of stack up economically? And I guess, as a flip side to that question, how do you weigh up the risk of an IPM approach, the economic risk?
Working backwards on that one, the economic risk I don't really see as an issue, because I think more often than not there's a greater risk by taking out your beneficials using synthetic pyrethroids or whatever it might be, and therefore not having any natural control mechanisms later on in the crop, be it the same crop year or the following crop year. So I actually see that there's more economic penalty by using conventional insecticides rather than at least employing an IPM approach. I mean, that doesn't mean we don't use conventional insecticides when there are a lack of alternatives, but if I recommend one these days, which is unusual, the grower that I recommend it to will want to know why I'm going to be taking his beneficials out of the equation with that insecticide.
Look, thanks for sharing your views with us. Thank you.
It's my very great pleasure.